Sri Lanka's most powerful news brand.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz, Shauketaly.
And a wonderful morning to you. This is Newsline, live as always from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And this morning I'll start off by a message from one of our viewers who says, "Thank you, we never miss it. We will join you at 7. Thank you for those messages. Keep sending them in on 0772 300 305. It'll come up on your screen soon. And this morning, before I introduce our guest, I'd like to tell you that once again, our dear Prime Minister has made a statement about the media and how some privately held media are partial and so on. And that, so we took issue with parts of what went on yesterday, and I don't think that any other network, as much as ours, has earned the stripes to say what we say on ethics and on reporting. We've not needed a Right to Information Act to act, and we have been acting without that for several years now. But unfortunately, during this whole process in the pursuit of the truth and informing the Republic, the people of our country, we've lost a few, when we've suffered great damage and so on over the years. We must remember that one of our colleagues, Lasantha Wickramatunge, also the founding editor of the Sunday Leader, was killed driving one of our cars in a high security zone on his way to work on a fateful Thursday way back in 2009. The people who were in opposition then are today holding the reins of power, and there is still no verdict, no closure on Lasantha Wickramatunge's unlawful killing. We continue to wait, and all we have are words to say that they are having a debate, that they have got to identify the users of 6 telephone numbers, although they are aware of the agency that was using, was responsible for those 6 numbers. Well, we're watching, we're waiting, and we're listening to all the sort of explanations that are trotted out regularly, and we are waiting to see what will happen. In the meantime, we're joined here this morning by Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa, JVP Member of Parliament. Very good morning to you, Doctor.
Good morning.
Lovely having you here. And it's a long journey for you, isn't it?
Yes, almost.
Over an hour?
Yes, 1 hour.
Yes, that's commitment. Thank you. But I see that you're carrying a file. And I also see you on television taking issue with lots of sort of corruption matters. So why don't you tell me what you have here?
Today I have one file regarding violation of procedure issue in the tender of identity cards. Recently there are 1 million identity cards issued by the this ID department.
Right.
This is totally they violated the tender and procurement procedure.
Right.
I mean, the value of this tender is somewhat small, but the problem is this is Yahapalana government.
Right.
They promised the people to go forward in a correct way.
Right.
So, violating the Technical Evaluation Committee report,
right.
Out of 5, 3 members rejected that the certain company.
Yeah.
But finally, Cabinet decided to give the tender without consulting that Technical Evaluation Committee report. So, I asked the Minister during the debate of this ministry, why did you appoint a Technical Evaluation Committee? Because there were experts from Colombo and Montu University.
Yeah.
But finally, the Cabinet decided what happened, the identity card issued to the people, this is substandard. That's the problem. So now we are seeing the outcome of the violation of the procedure.
I see.
Yes.
And what does the minister have to say about this?
Nothing to say. After the debate, he asked me to hand over the file.
Yes.
So, but all the identity cards now already printed. So he can intervene to the issue and he can inquire, but I don't think steps will go forward, because this is the now this is the way they are trying to establish the previous pattern, the same procedure, same violation of procedure, they are going to establish again.
Basically, they are, I think what you're also trying to say really is that they have got immune. They listen to the people shouting or in parliament debating and they carry on.
Yes.
It's as if it didn't happen.
Yes, this is one side, the blame goes to the politicians, ministers, as well the relevant officers. They have responsibility over the people's money.
So aren't these officers concerned by taking a example out of what happened to Mr. Lalit Veeratunga?
They have to do, but you see that Lalit Veeratunga's issue, what happens finally? The political intervention immune the punishment.
The other side of that argument is that, let's imagine that Lalit Veeratunga said to the president, well, look, I can't do this because it's not correct.
Yes.
Then what? He would have lost his pension even then. Now already he's going to lose his pension.
Yes, but
38 years of service down the drain.
If he said that, not only the pension, he may lost his life, because this is very terrible period. We passed that type of 10 years. Anyway, but there were some government officers who refused that type of political pressure. Even Mr. Lalit Veeratunga could have learned from his wife, because once she refused such kind of political pressure from a government.
Indeed.
And he had some chances.
Actually, Doctor, I spoke to Mr. Veeratunga's wife very recently, and I said to her, how come he didn't do the same as you? She said, we discussed it, and we felt that one of us will have to be in government because we have to live here. So I think what she didn't say, but I understood, was that if he had also left, they would have been harassed and his life would have been miserable.
But I think when we take the incidents one by one or individually, there is one side to consider. But as a whole, as a country, we are responsible for the people's interest and people's tax. Finally. So we came here by free education, free health, and we enjoy all the facilities made by the people's money, on people's money. So amidst of all the political pressure or intervention, we need real backbone. Otherwise, we can't change this scenario. So someone has to take the strong examples.
Right.
Otherwise, everyone has their same story.
So it's sad. So now this is another project.
Yes.
That nothing's going to happen.
Yeah. Yes. Now it finished.
It's finished.
What I raised in the parliament, at least we have to inquire what happened in this.
So what do you think Minister will do now that you've given him a file? He must have known about it anyway.
Definitely. Because before that, there are certain disputes between there are 3 or 4 ministries regarding that issue.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to get that tender to their ministry, but finally the Ministry of Digital Infrastructure also they keen on to get that project. But we know that from the beginning they have certain interest to take that project, the printing of identity cards.
Doctor, I hear what you say, but don't you see that, and as you said, this is a small, in terms of money, it's a small amount. But don't you see that these people who decided to do this, this deed against the procurement processes, the national procurement guidelines, they have a better example. We had the central bank bond scheme. So over there, you had the Prime Minister himself, who, as the minister in charge of the subject, who was defending Mr. Mahendran.
Yes.
I believe even today, if we asked him, he'll say that there is no evidence of wrongdoing. Of course, technically he's right, because it hasn't been tested in a court. But surely you don't need a court every time. You've got a brain and you can use it.
Yes.
And you can work out for yourself that on the balance of probabilities, there's something gone wrong. Otherwise, why have a presidential commission of inquiry? It's not just for fun, not because the media is shouting. Yeah?
Yes. So if we are going to appoint presidential commissions for everything. Corrupted projects, so almost every
that's the right response. You have to laugh.
Yes. Almost every retired judges took the responsibility for these presidential commissions. So that's why I made a statement in the parliament that I pointed out 10 reasons why the Prime Minister should be responsible for the bond scam. From the beginning of appointing Arjun Mahendra as a governor, and what happened in the Presidential Commission, the series of issues, we can see the main responsibility goes to the relevant minister.
On that note, when we come back after this break, Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa will probably tell us those 10 points as to why the minister in charge of the subject of the central bank, also known as the Prime Minister, is responsible at large. Don't go away. This is Newsline.
Newsfirst, Shauketaly.
Welcome back to Newsline. Sorry about that little break there. And we are joined here by Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa. And I just want to clarify in response to various questions that we got. Yesterday, when the Prime Minister addressed a gathering said to be organized by UNESCO, and he spoke about the media, and he referred to some media people in the last government. The Prime Minister was not referring to the Capital Maharaja networks. he was referring to another group, another two groups. But we took it on ourselves to point out that the media really doesn't need any kind of ferreting and so on, because the media by and large have been a full partner in this whole process of trying to get media freedom and a balance of sensibilities along the way. And of course the Prime Minister is right. There were some units that didn't do as he described it, but that doesn't confer the right on certain people who have taken advantage, so-called activists or journalists, who've taken advantage of the various happenings, the situations and scenarios that took place in a very dark era. And that was the attacks on journalists and various sort of, like us, we were attacked, burnt, stoned, accused, but we carried on. And in the case of Lasantha Wickrematunge, he lost his life. So we just want to make this point that the Prime Minister wasn't talking about us, and we were merely giving a overall media reaction to these attempts by people to capitalize on what happened during those dark days, when the very people who are now having seminars and so on were very strangely silent, and hardly a whimper came out of them. And they have the audacity to say all these things about, basically about us, but they didn't have the nerve to name us. But we just want to make that clarification. Now then, Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa, you were on interesting ground.
Yes.
You said around 10 items why the Minister in charge of the subject of the Central Bank, also the Prime Minister, why he should be held responsible for this bond scam. Why? You told us why.
Yeah. I start from the beginning. We have to ask why the Prime Minister took the Central Bank under his ministry, taking off from the Finance Ministry. Usually in the whole history since 1947, every government, the Central Bank ruled under the Finance Ministry.
Yeah.
The first time he took the Central Bank under his ministry. One.
Yes.
Second thing, appointing the foreign citizen as the governor, while some of the cabinet ministers refused and questioned regarding his appointment.
Right.
Third thing, the first scam happened in February 27th, 2015.
Yes.
In the mid of March 2015,
Yeah.
Prime Minister appointed a 3-member committee,
Yeah.
including some lawyers.
Yeah.
So they submitted a report. At least he didn't implement that report.
Indeed.
At that time, he could expel, or he could terminate. He could terminate the governor's
Contract. Or his,
period. And the other one, you see the behavior of the UNP members during the COP sittings. I think
Footnote.
yes, footnote club.
Yeah.
Then the Prime Minister directed one of this our Tiniyavala Palita
Yeah.
Thero
Yeah.
for the appeal court
Yeah.
against the COP report.
Yeah.
And so now what happened during the Presidential Commission, that the CID report
Yes.
revealed the strong connection between Arjun Aloysius and these UNP members.
Indeed.
So when we consider all the facts and finally the Prime Minister did not terminate the governor's whole term. So when we consider all the issues, so main responsibility goes to the Prime Minister. Technically, I mean, he has a right to change the procedure. But he has to take the consent from the monetary board.
And now that's a very valid point you're making.
Yes.
And because when we discuss the Foreign Exchange Act, there is a definite increase of power to the one person, that means the minister in charge of the central bank. And it is possible for that person to influence and change the direction and therefore to impinge on the independence of the central bank. And that's precisely the point that you're making, and it is precisely the point that all counsel made to the Supreme Court when they went in and petitioned them against the Foreign Exchange Act. So what you're saying is, at the end of the day, the Prime Minister is responsible.
Yes, definitely.
Do you think that the Prime Minister has recognized that? Do you think he is able to?
I think he knows what happens, but he knows any legal procedure will not take against him, because after the Presidential Commission, all the documents should go to the Attorney General Department, then to the courts. It will take maybe 3-4 years. So during that period, I think he thinks that he can change the surrounding.
Well, that's what he's doing. Because the Foreign Exchange
Act... He's taking
time. Yes, and that's what he's saying. They're talking about an open, liberalized economic policy. But then they didn't put any rules in place, and therefore, if you look at it from that existing rules as we look at it now, the Governor Mahendran acted outside of his powers, because he didn't sort of talk to the Monetary Board of Sri Lanka, because the Monetary Law Act is the act that runs the central bank. Now, and the other thing, of course, Doctor, is that the President refused to reappoint the Governor Mahendran, or he refused to give him a contract of his own, because remember, he was only serving the balance of Niwad Cabral's term. Now then, but even though the President refused to give him that contract, the Prime Minister, like what he did with Ravi K, continued to boldly take them and show them around. After Governor Mahendran ceased to be the governor, he seemed to be everywhere connected to government. I think it is one, Kirti Tennakoon had some documents that he put out showing that Arjun Mahendran had attended official meetings and so on. And then we had this letter from the Ministry of Finance, a very weak letter, to say that they didn't employ Mahendran at all. Well, we know that. But then what was he doing in these meetings? And the same with Ravi K. Now we are told, subject to correction, that Ravi K has an office in Temple Trees and so on. And he's doing sort of party development work. He's coordinating that. But I'm sorry, but I thought that Temple Trees is a government place to conduct government business and to let the Prime Minister rest and live there if he so wants to, not to run the affairs of the United National Party. What about you, the JVP? Are you going to have an office in the Temple Trees?
No, we have one office in Talavatta Vataramulla. That Temple Trees and Parliament and these ministries, these people are paying taxes to run these buildings for the interest of people, all the people, not for the UNP members or the UNP ministers. And I have to add that most of the these things now revealed in the President's Commission,
Yeah.
revealed already in the Parliament, COP committee.
Yeah.
Most of the central bank officers, they had brave enough to make evidence in front of the COP committee.
Yes.
We submitted this COP report in last November. So, in despite of the Speaker, Prime Minister at that time, he promised to Parliament to send that report to the Aegis Department.
Yeah.
So it almost 1 year. So this is the time is enough if they want to take legal actions.
But this seems to be the modus operandi of our dear Prime Minister, because, you know, the same thing is happening with regard to Ranga, the Colonel Surya, you know, and the NGO. Now, he became an embarrassment, so he resigned. And now again, as we can see from yesterday, he's resurfacing. And this is exactly what the Prime Minister is always doing. You know, Arjuna Mahendran lost this prestige, top position as governor of the central bank. And then a few days later, you saw him with the Prime Minister going here, going there.
Yes, as the economic consultant.
As the economic consultant. He was going to be in charge of, of this huge change of policy. What on earth is the Prime Minister doing?
And he is responsible for the investment, foreign direct investments and these big projects. So I think the Prime Minister, President, as a whole, the government should consider the image of the country. A dismissed person appointing such a big position. So how these investors imagine the transparency and well governance of the country?
So, but you're quite right. Let me point out, Mr. Ravi Karunayaka was appointed the Minister of Finance. He had a pending case against him under the Foreign Exchange Act or the Exchange Control Act. He had that pending.
Yes, yeah.
And the proper thing would have been, if he is so necessary for good governance, would have been for him to clear his name. Absolutely, not just get a discharge, but he ought to have got an acquittal.
That's why in 2017, July 25th, at that debate, we revealed the intention of this Foreign Exchange Act amendment, and we voted against that act. It's July 25th.
But it's completely, honestly, at the end of the day, do you think that the Prime Minister should resign on the face of, at least on the face of what has happened at Bondgate?
If he is genuine and he genuinely did in past incidents that this Tilak Marapan's resignation and the Ravi case resignation, so he should have shown his genuine style to the country. So at least before resigning the Prime Minister post, at least he should have hand over the central bank to the relevant ministry. At least.
At least.
At least.
Do you know, Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa, as we came to the end of this morning's program, I get the distinct feeling that you are unfortunately in the wrong party, because the JVP, with all due respect, is too small and to make a difference. But if you were in one of the other parties, you could have from inside made a real difference. Perhaps you will work at that.
Being in a corrupted party, we can't implement our genuine ideas.
But I wish you well on your journey, where you are, hopefully you will turn the way that the people are thinking and get them to please look at all these matters. Because in the villages and in the rural areas, perhaps they know that Mahabankwe Wanchawa Atikila. But I think it's incumbent upon all of y'all to, at least on this one issue, it highlights precisely what these people came for. They made a change under the guise of good governance, but actually they came to help themselves. And that is the way it is. So, Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa, thank you very much for being on Newsline.
Thank you.
And a viewer is pointing out that the JVP also needs to do a little bit of cleaning up, but not as much perhaps as the other two. And they're saying good luck to you.
Thank you.
And thank you very much, Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa. And that's the way it was on Newsline on Tuesday, the 5th of December, 2017. Take care. God bless.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.